All right, thank you guys. Welcome to our NBA video here today for Sunday, April 25th. Happy Sunday to you. Great to be back after a nice day off yesterday from the YouTubes. But anyway, my name is Brock Page and I do sports picks for free right here on YouTube. Now, we've won 2 out of our last 3 board member tier package picks on my Patreon website. We're also 5-3 in our last 8 board member tier package picks in that very same category. We currently have over 1,405 members who are signed up and active on that page. And if you want to see which one of these YouTube picks I'm actually betting on personally, link for that website is in the description section below. That's patreon.com/BrockPage. With that, guys, we're going to start off with an early game here. I'm talking about the Celtics taking on the Hornets, 1 p.m. Eastern tip-off in Charlotte. Now, Boston is -10 on the road here, totals 214.5. And if you like the Hornets in an upset at home here, they're plus 375 for some money line cash. And despite a bit of a rough patch here recently for Charlotte, they've still won 2 out of their last 4 ball games, with one of those victories coming over Portland. Now, the Hornets currently have a winning record at home, and they've also gone 16-11 against the spread in those 27 home games. The Hornets have done very well on the defensive end of the court in certain spots this season, of course. They're in the top 3 in points allowed at home. They're also in the top 3 in defending the 3 ball at home as well. Terry Rozier scoring over 20.5 points a game, 4 rebounds, 4 assists for the starting guard. Meanwhile, Devontae Graham scoring 14 points a game himself, 2 rebounds, 5 assists for Graham. The Hornets allow just 107 points a night on their home court. They're also limiting their opponents to just 33% shooting from beyond the arc at the Spectrum Center. They're taking on a Boston team who lost 2 out of their last 3, including a loss to Chicago, where they scored just 96 total points. Walker and Brown have been listed as questionable for today's action. The Celtics also play their worst basketball on the road. They've been victorious in only 13 out of 30 road games, and they successfully covered the point spread just 43% of the time in those road contests. Now, offensively, it seems like the Celtics kind of get off to a slow start. They're in the bottom 10 in first quarter scoring, bottom 10 in second quarter scoring on the road. Now, total-wise, 4 out of Boston's last 7 ball games got over the number. Throwing out the Brooklyn game, they're also 17-13 of the over on the road. Meanwhile, the Hornets saw 6 out of their last 10 meetings with Boston get over the total themselves. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the Charlotte Hornets plus 10 and the over 214.5. Next ball game should be a good one. I'm talking about the Suns versus the Nets, 3:30 Eastern showdown. The Brooklyn Nets are -1.5, totals 232 flat. But in addition to having a losing record against the spread at home, this Brooklyn team just doesn't play all that good defensively. They're in the bottom 10 in points allowed, bottom 10 in fourth quarter points allowed as well. Now, the Brooklyn Nets are allowing nearly 115 points a game. Johnson and Durant, they're listed as questionable for today's action. Meanwhile, Claxton is out with COVID. And, of course, James Harden, he's still battling that hammy injury. Probably won't be playing for a while. Now, they're taking on a Phoenix club who's played fairly consistent all season long. They've won 6 out of their last 8 ball games. And they currently find themselves with a 19-8 record away from home. Now, Phoenix is in the top 3 in the NBA in offensive field goal percentage. They're also in the top 10 in scoring. So not only is this a good defensive team, but it does look like they should be able to keep up with Brooklyn's scoring pace as well. And despite the absence of Crowder, Saric, and Galloway here today, Devin Booker, he's kind of the big man on campus here. He is scoring 25 points a game, along with 4 rebounds and 4.5 assists. Meanwhile, Chris Paul is scoring 16 points a game himself, along with 4 rebounds and 8 assists. The Suns are in the top 5 in the league in defending the 3 ball. They also allow just 108 points a game when they travel. Now, total-wise, 3 out of Phoenix's last 5 ball games stayed under the line. Throwing out the Philly contest, Phoenix is also 15-12 to the under as the official road team. Meanwhile, the Nets saw 3 out of their last 4 stay under the total themselves. I'm going to lean toward the underdog Phoenix Suns plus 1.5 and the under 232. Next matchup, we're going to take a look at the Grizzlies versus the Blazers, 4 p.m. Eastern start time. The Portland Trailblazers are minus 4.5, numbers 235 even. Now, Portland's been playing their worst basketball of the season here recently. They're currently on a 4-game losing streak, and they dropped 8 out of their last 10. Now, Portland's done a lackluster job covering the point spread on their home court. They've gotten the job done against the number in just 13 of 31 home games. They've also played poorly on the defensive end of the court all year long as well. They're currently in the bottom 5 in defensive field goal percentage, and they're also in the bottom 10 in home points allowed. Now, defensive rebounding has also been an issue for the Blazers here. They're in the bottom 10 in defensive rebounding at home. Now, they're taking on a Memphis Grizzlies club who actually might have their big man, Jonas Valanciunas, back in the lineup here today. He's actually been upgraded to questionable, so there is a chance we'll see Valanciunas in some action here today. Now, the Grizzlies have been absolute covering machines here lately. They're 6-1 against the spread in their last 7. And they've also gone 19-10 against the number in their 29 road games. The Grizzlies are amongst the best road scoring teams in the entire league right now. They're in the top 3 in road scoring, and they're also in the top 3 in road offensive field goal percentage. Ja Morant is scoring 19 points a night, 3 rebounds, 7 assists for the point guard. Meanwhile, Dillon Brooks is scoring over 16.5 points a game himself, 2 rebounds and a couple assists for Brooks. The Grizzlies are doing a real nice job getting rebounds offensively. They're currently in the top 10 in offensive rebounding on the road. And when it comes to the scoring in this one, Memphis is 5-1 to the over in their last 6 ball games, 80% to the over in their last 10. The Grizzlies have also gone 20-9 to the over when they travel. Meanwhile, 2 out of Portland's last 3 got over the total themselves. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward the Memphis Grizzlies plus 4.5 in the over 235. Next ball game we're going to break down here, it is going to be the Cavaliers versus the Wizards, and that's going to be a 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. The Wizards are minus 8 at home, totals 225.5. Now, the Wizards are currently in the playoff hunt right now, believe it or not. They're just 3 games back of the 8th place Hornets, and they currently find themselves in the middle of an 8-game winning streak. Now, in addition to that, the Washington Wizards also successfully covered the point spread in 9 out of their last 11 ball games as well. Washington has certainly had little problem scoring with the basketball. The Wizards are in the top 5 in the entire association in home scoring. And they're also averaging nearly 118 points a game at the Capital One Arena. Now, Bradley Beal, he's been kind of the rock of this Washington franchise. He's scoring 31 points a game, along with 4 rebounds and 4 assists. Of course, Russell Westbrook, he's still averaging a triple-double a game. He's 21, 11, and 10 through 52 games played. Washington has done a real nice job rebounding on the offensive end of the court. They're currently in the top 10 in home offensive rebounding. Now, they're taking on a Cleveland Cavaliers squad who's dead last in the NBA in scoring, and they're also dead last in shooting the 3 ball on the road. The Cavaliers have lost 6 out of their last 8 ball games, and in addition to that, they're going to have to go to work here this evening without their leading scorer. That's right, Colin Sexton. He's listed as out for today's contest. Now, the Cavaliers have been downright awful on the road this year. More specifically, they've been victorious in only 9 of 31 road games. And they covered the point spread in just 32% of those road contests. Now, the Cavaliers are averaging a measly 99 points a game away from their home court, and they're making only 31% of their three-pointers in that same category. Now, total-wise, when it comes to the number in this one, 4 out of Cleveland's last 6 stayed under the posted total. Cavaliers are officially 19-12 to the under as the official road team. Meanwhile, Washington is 5-1 to the under in their last 6 themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Washington Wizards -8 and the under 225.5. All right, next ball game. It is going to be Bucks versus the Hawks, 7:30 p.m. East. The Milwaukee Bucks are -6, totals 228. And Milwaukee's on a 2-game winning streak, 5-2 straight up in their last 7. Milwaukee's been dominant on the offensive end of the court this season. They're leading the NBA in scoring on average per contest. The Bucks are also first in the association in offensive rebounding. They're drilling 40% of their three-pointers. Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's scoring over 28 points a game, 11 boards, 6 assists for the Greek Freak. Meanwhile, Chris Middleton's dropping 20 a night himself, 5 rebounds, 5.5 assists for the forward. Middleton's also drilling 43% of his three-pointers so far. They're taking on an Atlanta squad who's going to work here tonight without their leading scorer, Trae Young. Trae's going to miss at least a couple of games here with an ankle sprain. Now, Hunter and Snell, they're both still out. Dunn and Capella, they are questionable. Atlanta's been getting off to a slow start at home. They currently rank in the bottom 10 in home first quarter scoring. And, well, I've got to imagine that, that particular number is going to be exacerbated here today without some key players. Now, total-wise, when it comes to the scoring in this one, somehow Atlanta's last 2 straight got over the number, 3-1 to the over in their last 4, and that does include games missing key players. Meanwhile, the Bucks on the other side, they saw 3 out of their last 4 get over the total themselves. They're also 35-24 to the over for the entire season. I'm going to lean toward the Milwaukee Bucks -6 and the over 228. Next ball game, it is going to be Pacers versus the Magic, 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. The Indiana Pacers are -5.5, totals 225, juice to the under. Now, Indiana's played their best basketball on the road this year. They currently have a winning record on the road, both straight up and against the spread. They're currently on a 2-game winning streak. They also got the W in 6 out of their last 10. Now, Sabonis and Lamb, they're both questionable for today's action. Having said that, though, the Pacers are still led by Malcolm Brogdon, who's averaging over 21.5 points a game. Now, Brogdon's also averaging 5 rebounds and 5 assists per contest as well. Meanwhile, Dougie McDermott, he's scoring 13 points a game himself, along with 3 boards. The Pacers are one of the better road scoring teams in the East. They're currently in the top 5 in the NBA in scoring away from home, top 10 in road offensive field goal percentage. Indiana scoring over 115 points a game when they travel. They're taking on an Orlando squad who's been horrible at home, winners of just 10 out of 31 home games this season. They're also currently on a 4-game losing streak and went just 1-10 straight up in their last 11. Now, in addition to being 23 games below 500 right now, Orlando's dead last in offensive field goal percentage, bottom 5 in defensive rebounding. Orlando scores just 104 points per contest. Now, total-wise, oddly enough, the Magic's gone 5-1 to the over in their last 6 ball games, 70% to the over in their last 10 meetings with Indiana. Meanwhile, the Pacers are 6-3 to the over in their last 9 ball games themselves, throwing out the Detroit contest. Indiana's also 21-10 to the over when they travel. I'm going to lean toward the Indiana Pacers -5.5 and the over 225. And with that, guys, we're going to dive into our next and final matchup for the show. It is going to be Kings versus the Warriors, 10 p.m. Eastern start time. The Golden State Warriors are -8, numbers 231. The Golden State's played some really good basketball here recently. They're 6-2 straight up in their last 8. 70% against the number in their last 10. Now, the Warriors have been real solid at the Chase Center this season as well. They're 18-10 straight up at home, top 10 in home three-point percentage. Steph Curry scores over 31 points a game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists for the starting guard. Meanwhile, Andrew Wiggins is dropping over 18 a night himself, 4 rebounds, couple assists for Wiggins. Golden State's in the top 10 in offensive field goal percentage at home. And they're also averaging 116 points per contest as the official home team as well. They're taking on a sputtering Sacramento squad who lost 10 out of their last 12. And they're still going to work here without Fox, Bagley, and Woodard. Rashawn Holmes, he's also listed as questionable for Sacramento. The Kings have dropped to 11 games below 500 for the season, and they've really failed themselves defensively. Sacramento's dead last in points allowed, dead last in defensive field goal percentage as well. The Kings give up 119 points per contest. They let their opponents make nearly 40% of their three-pointers against them. Now, total-wise, Sacramento's last 2 straight got over the number, 3-1 to the over in their last 4. The Kings are officially 34-25 to the over for the entire season. Meanwhile, Golden State's seen 6 out of their last 10 meetings with Sacramento get over the total themselves. I'm going to lean toward the Golden State Warriors -8 and the over 231. And with that, guys, now it's time for our quick pick recap, powered to you by my Patreon website. I like Charlotte +10 over 214.5. Phoenix Suns +1.5 under 232. Memphis, let's try that again. Memphis +4.5 over 235. Washington -8 under 225.5. Milwaukee -6 over 228. Indiana Pacers -5.5 over 225. Before I give you my next and final free pick for the video, one final reminder that we've won 2 out of our last 3 board member tier package picks on my Patreon website. We're also 5-3 in our last 8 board member tier package picks in that very same category. I'm going to lean toward the Golden State Warriors -8 and the over 231. With that, guys, we're going to hop into some shout-outs. And from our YouTube platform, shout out to Gary DiStefano, Comic Kish, GONYC, Ruard Elzinga, King Jackson, Brooklyn Lou, Slum Lord, Quentin Sampson Wood, Marquise Foster, and last but certainly not least, got to give a shout out to Huncho BME. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on Patreon. If you guys decide to get a package here today, just keep in mind Patreon's going to bill you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. So if you do end up getting a membership here today, you're going to get that. You're going to get access to that content through the end of April. So you're going to get about a week's worth of content until Patreon starts to bill you again. So once again, Patreon will bill you the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. With that said, happy Sunday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage.